they stop manipulating you. The moment a narcissist realizes playing you was a mistake. Don't get sucked into the bullshit tornado. So you've gotten tangled up with one of these emotional vampire individuals. We've all been there, thinking we found our soulmate only to end up the pawn in some narcissistic dickholes games. At first, it's intoxicating when they love bomb the hell out of you. They shower you with praise and pretend you're God's gift to the universe. Meanwhile, red flags are smacking you upside the damn head, but you're too busy swallowing their BS by the spoonful. This ain't no normal relationship. It's a goddamn psychological snake pit. Before you know it, the charm offensive fades and their bullshit manipulation tactics take over. Suddenly you're jumping through hoops trying to earn basic decency from this self-obsessed ass clown. Hold tight, folks, because we're taking a deep dive into the landmine-riddled mind of narcissistic head cases. By the end, you'll be armed and ready to eject their abusive crap from your life like yesterday's trash. Stomachs of steel only. This ain't your mama's lullaby. Now on to explaining the bullshit these manipulative turd burglars get up to. The alluring charms that hook you in. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. We've all encountered narcissists who draw you in with their alluring charm. At first, you feel seen, understood, and deeply connected. They shower you with praise and affection, making you feel like the most special person. However, little do you know the manipulation that lies beneath their sweet words and magnetic personality. They make grand promises of the glorious future they will build with you. Their visions are intoxicatingly vivid, yet unrealistic, but you swallow their scam, hoping desperately for the fantasy to manifest. You excuse the red flags waving wildly in your face. After all, nobody's perfect, right? And they seem so remorseful afterwards. The love bombing never lasts long. There is no charm equal to tenderness of heart, but the initial rush of love bombing and flattery inevitably fades. As the months pass by, you start to feel more like a servant than a partner. The demands pile up while the gratitude plummets. They expect applause for meeting the most basic standards of human decency. You bend over backwards attempting to meet their delusional expectations. But it is never enough. They ignore your pouring efforts while magnifying the smallest perceived slights. Each day you plunge deeper into an exhausting abyss of impossible perfection. Love bombing is a tactic narcissists frequently rely on when first drawing you into a relationship. They shower you with intense praise, affection, and promises for the future to secure your attention and attachment. However, as we discussed here, those intensely charming behaviors usually fade over time, giving way to criticism and unreasonable demands. To learn more about identifying love bombing red flags early so you can protect your peace and self-worth, watch my video on me getting love bombed next. You'll find the link down below in the video description. Understanding these manipulative strategies is key knowledge for anyone looking to avoid narcissistic abuse and cultivate healthy relationships rooted in authenticity. Seeking fresh supply. Beware of false knowledge. It is more dangerous than ignorance. When you finally start tottering on empty, emotionally bankrupt from catering to their endless validation thirst, the narcissist casually slides their sights to a fresh target. They hoover up admiration from news sources like the most delicious fragments of sweet summer nectar. Yet through it all, you remain fixed in their web as the dutiful primary supply who will reliably return. They keep you clinging on standby by intermittently sprinkling you with crumbs of affection. It's just enough to string you along, preventing complete separation. After all, you've proven yourself exceptionally loyal in the past. I know it can be tempting to obsess over what happens with the narcissist's new source of supply after they discard you. You may hope they get exposed or receive their comeuppance for how they mistreated you. However, focusing too much on their new targets usually backfires. The healthiest thing is to direct your energy towards your own healing journey. That said, if you do want to understand the typical dynamics of what unfolds in the narcissist's next relationships, I have another video that explains it all. It's called What Really Happens to New Sources of Narcissistic Supply by Narcissists and Why. You can find the link to it in the video description and pinned comment below. As we discussed here, the narcissist often idolizes and devalues sources of supply and cycles. They struggle to maintain false personas over long periods of time before their toxic behaviors start leaking out. Check out my follow-up video for more details on why most narcissistic relationships follow predictable patterns of idealization and betrayal. Knowing these pathological cycles exist can provide some validation. But don't forget, progress requires focusing inward on rebuilding your self-worth rather than hoping for karma. The narcissist's own emptiness is punishment enough. The awakening. Where there is real knowledge, there is also humility. But over time, the narcissist's arrogance expands to an intolerable peak of hubris. In their quest for the perfect partner, they discard too many mistreated souls. Eventually, they land themselves completely alone, facing scorn rather than worship, disgust rather than awe. Awakening from their grandiose illusions, they gaze back, haunted by our ghosts. We who endured their torture with gentle spirits. For once, they see us clearly for who we were and who we remain, good-hearted, patient, and true. With egos no longer obscuring their sight, they realize with horror the graves they dug for relationships worth gold. We had loved them earnestly, despite the disdain and violation of trust, and that kind of devotion is not easily replicated. The come to Jesus moment. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. This revelation delivers a ruthless body slam, emotionally knocking the narcissist flat in a come to Jesus type moment. They finally understand the magnitude of their self-sabotage. They pushed away loving partners for arbitrary flaws, merely existing as human beings. Awash with startling clarity, the narcissist hopes to turn back time and retrieve us, the few willing to love their brokenness. They crave the soothing balm of our care and constancy. However, the revelation awakens us too. No going back. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. While the narcissist stagnates in painful nostalgia, we have emerged transformed with fierce wings. Our revival reveals their greatest fear, losing control. We who once waited ardently now turn deaf ears to all apologies, deaf to crocodile tears. Our healed hearts have no room for those awakening too late from their arrogance. The ones who abandoned us to sadness discover with dismay that the door is now closed. No waving white flag or weeping lamentation can unlock our deadbolts. Only the sting of loss can teach them not to smash open and shut precious hearts like a child discarding toys. The long road ahead. Maturity begins when we start having higher expectations of ourselves than we have of others. Facing such defeat, some narcissists find humility at last. They begin the long, rugged road of improving their character. No longer blaming others for their loneliness, they ask honest but agonizing questions. How did I become this person? Why do I destroy what I love most? Piece by piece, they dismantle dysfunctional coping methods, their weapons of mass destruction. They build new foundations of self-love, trusting that they are enough without constant approval. They learn to give the patience and kindness they craved from others. Each small act of courage brings self closer to the surface where they can embrace it fully. Eventually, with open arms, they welcome truth. We all walk this earth as scared and scarred in different ways. But for some, these hopeless ass clowns never learn. For some narcissists, their heads are stuck too far up their own asses for them to ever see the light. They adamantly refuse to get down from their undeserved pedestals of warped superiority. These pathological dickheads recycle the same disregard for human decency onto target after target. They repeatedly suck vulnerable folks into their swirling vortex of mindfuckery and abuse. These vampires feed ruthlessly on bright spirits and naive hopes, extracting supply while leaving trails of emotional carnage. The souls they drain are seen as disposable objects, mere pawns to prop up their delusions of grandeur. These emotional terrorists continue playing Russian roulette with people's psyches and futures. They careen hungrily from one destruction high to the next, oblivious to the maimed hearts and wrecked lives they leave in their wake. We cannot cling to the false hope that one day these self-absorbed asshats will suddenly sprout a conscience. Know when to laugh in their pathetic faces, give them the middle finger, and kick their abusive bullshit to the curb for good. Trying to keep loving someone bent on tearing you to shreds is like giving CPR to a backstabbing serial killer. Ain't nobody got time for that. Until toxic abusers get serious about removing their heads from their asses, they'll remain on an endless hamster wheel of treating people like shit. Our only sane option is to stay far away from their chaos and reconstruct healthier lives beyond their influence. We gotta get off this hellish merry-go-round and leave their crazy behind for good.